Hi, so here is another video. This is part 5, and it's entitled Name Calling, Dog Whistles, and the Double Bind. So for name calling, it's self-explanatory. You're being called names, and it's not like the types of names in the schoolyard. Um, you're being called names to have labels thrown onto you. So you might be called, as a target, you might be called mentally ill, or you might be called judgmental, or you might be called uh, overbearing, unapproachable, aggressive. Um, or you could also get the exact opposite, anxiety ridden, um, lone wolf. Uh, Keep in mind that with these name callings are designed to label you. They do not define who you are because you define who you are. When perpetrators throw these labels on you, again, they're attempting to chip away at your healthy self-image. Now on to dog whistling. Dog whistling is often used in politics where there are certain core code words that are used to send a message to a certain group of people or to one person. For instance, you might hear a politician talk about hope and change. The code word in that statement of hope and change could be change. The word change may have a different meaning for the inner group, the inner circle to a larger group. That word change may have a meaning of, okay, we're going to be changing up some jobs here, type of deal, to the inner group. But to the rest of the group, they're hearing change and it's connected with hope, so it might be a positive thing, whereas the inner group might actually realize it's a negative thing. The same, it works towards the target. The target will give their fellow co-conspirators or fellow co-perpetrators a code name for you. If you're female, they may label you as she, or that, or what, or who's that. Those were some of the labels that I had received. As a code word to describe me. For males, you might also get he and, it, what, that guy, So they'll use these words so that any other person who's not on the inner group, who's not part of the perpetrators, will not know what's being talked about, right? They'll just think that it's just regular, they're just talking regular language. But unless you're on the inner group with the perpetrators, or unless you've been targeted, you will know what that word means. Or at least for the targeted person will know that they use that word to refer to them. So for instance, when I'm sitting at a cubicle, I'm doing my work, the way that they would label me with a dog whistle word is they would walk by one and say, she's here. So And it would, like, the way they would do it is they would have it where you'd have one or two or three or four people passing by you saying, "She's here." And it's very strange how they do this. They'll go, "She's here. She's here. She's here." And it's like in 10-minute intervals they're doing this. And then, of course, your brain is going to naturally make that association that when the perpetrators, because it's four perpetrators or five perpetrators in a row, conditioning, like this is also a way of conditioning their target, when they say "she is here" or "she," your brain is going to make that word association. When the perpetrators say "she," they really mean the targeted person. So that's something that may be happening to you. You may or may not pick it up, but it does happen. And this is just another covert tactic that they use. That's another covert tactic that they use in order to really drive down your spirit. You're no longer being considered by your name. Being addressed by your name would be respectful. They instead are out to humiliate and to try and destroy your image, and in turn render you a nobody, quote unquote, by not even addressing you by your name, as well as making sure that they are not implicated by not using your name. You can see how very premeditated this is. I mean, ignorant people do not do this, right? The type of person who does this are people that know what they're doing. It takes a lot of planning to do things like this. I have to say that I don't even like it took some time for me to wrap my head around this as to how much planning they actually do. And I still haven't wrapped my head around it because I'm not one of them. So as a target, you're not going to know readily. And be easy on yourself. Do not think or expect to know everything all at once. They are very sneaky. They are very cunning in what they do. Labels, the effects of labels and what they do. So when they start doing these things such as labels, name calling, dog whistling, so anything becomes a label. If you're working at your desk and a perpetrator comes by trying to set you up on something and you say, "Not now, I really got to finish this up," they'll label you as dismissive. If you are, if you show emotion of any kind, they label you, they take it to the most extreme. So if you look sad, they say that you're depressed. If you're crying, they say that you're out of control. If you're happy, they say that you're manic. If you are, if you provide resources, they say that you're trying to get attention. So you see where I'm going with this? What they do is no matter what you do, they will always invalidate. So do not expect them to validate you. Expect the worst, because that's all they want is the worst for you. They don't want the best for you. So that's what they do. And the other thing that they do is they turn around and not only will they label you, but they will repeat these types of labels to managers. They'll ingratiate themselves with the managers, repeat these labels, and sabotage your efforts in trying to get a more senior role within the organization or within the company that you work in. So you will also start hearing these types of roles during your professional development sessions. You'll hear when the manager starts saying things like, "Oh, you were a bit off," or "Oh, you were the lone wolf," or "Oh, you were um, I don't know, some kind of thing that's really weird, like you're judgmental. The way to combat this is, especially if your manager is doing it and you're noticing it's happening during professional development sessions, um, demand, of course, professionally, but demand clarification. What do you mean by lone wolf? And make sure you have a pen and paper and write down exactly what they mean. If they say, "Oh, well, you're judgmental, what do you mean by this?" Also, they'll say things like, "Oh, well, you're not meeting people halfway." Ask them to illustrate. What instance was it when I did not meet someone halfway, and what do you mean by meeting someone halfway? How do you measure that? Demand specifics. Of course, they're going to then turn around and label you as difficult, of which you would then return a reply of, "No, not difficult. I'm conscientious and want to make sure that I'm on a positive trajectory to success. So I'm sure that we have a joint common ground that you want us to be successful. Please tell me exactly what you need in order for me to be successful." And yeah, that's one of the strategies I would recommend. The next video will be on fear, how perpetrators use fear, and how the Maslow hierarchy um, of uh, of priorities is involved. I will talk to you in the next video.